Coming in, he says that this is essentially a local conflict. He's calling the war in Ukraine a local conflict and saying the West and its allies have made it into a global conflict. That's a strong statement as well.
Well, yes, and it's more accurate than some of the things that that he has been saying. I mean, it is a typical post-imperial conflict. It's like Algeria or Ireland. It's one of those border disputes with a strong ethnic content. It's post-Soviet mess, which has turned into a war. It might have done back in 1991, you know. I was covering that, and the dangers of this sort of war breaking out right then were very great, and they've been implicit in the situation ever since. So it is a post-imperial war. It's not exactly a border conflict, but certainly this is territory in eastern Ukraine where Russia has fought for hundreds of years. In the last century alone, this is the third massively destructive war to sweep over those very lands, the Civil War, then World War II, and in each case, the Moscow-led state took back those territories and reintegrated them into the Russian state. This is the prism that Russians look at this through. This is the history and the background, psychological background to why they're fighting there. It's the West. It is the West that has turned this into a great global crusade between autocracy and democracy, and Ukraine will determine the future of the world order. It didn't have to be like that. However, it turns out that
Putin seems to be evoking the sentiment of us versus them. From the statements that I can see right now coming in, he's saying that even the Anglican Church is looking at a gender-neutral God. May God forgive them. He's going after different topics now. He's not just sticking to the topic of war and what lies ahead. He's essentially saying that the West is trying to shatter their own unity and that they want to protect their children from degradation. What do you make of these statements?
Well, this is typical Putin, and I don't know why he wants to mess with, you know, the cultural decline of the West and mix it up in with all this. Russia is a very conservative society. It is that. So he's speaking to the choir, you know, or preaching to the choir. When he says these things, it's just not relevant. It's not relevant to the war that's going on. But it is part of Putin's effort to try to convince Russians that they are the defenders of civilization here. They're the ones standing up to the forces of decline and decay. But it doesn't resonate with me, and I don't think it resonates with educated Russians either. No, you know, nobody in Moscow, at least in the circles that I inhabit, which are like educated, cultural elite people who, you know, intellectuals, let's say, that's a small sliver of society, but they're very modern. They don't care who's gay, who's trans. I mean, it's a very sophisticated level of people, and they will just laugh at Putin when he says these things.
Thank you so much for all your insights. Thanks for joining us on WION at this hour. We'll, of course, come back to you for more updates. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.